This is Woodman here with another channeled message. Today I wanted to talk more about dream invaders, and I've had quite a few videos over the course of this channel where I go into the topic of dreams and I kind of make different interpretations of what it could mean. But for the most part, from what I'm understanding from a lot of people that are into spirituality, dreams themselves are messages from our higher self, but dreams also can represent venturing into new worlds, going into other places, other dimensions, other spaces. And so when I go back and recollect what my dreams were like as a young child, there was always this one recurring theme. And that theme would be that I would be facing off against some sort of horde, right? And by horde, I mean a large group of people who were antagonizing me. And so, what does that mean? What does that mean? Now, some people will say things like, well, that could be that you feel like maybe in the world you are not expressing yourself properly. Maybe you feel frustrated. Maybe you can't interact with people well. And, that's part of it, right? In other words, you may very well have an issue where maybe in a social setting you're not doing very well. And so that could be reflected in some sort of anxiety that could manifest itself in dreams. But there's also something else that could be going on. And this is what I'm getting based on a lot of things I've come to understand over the past 2 to 3 years. And that's that when you have certain gifts and talents that are given to you by the universe, by the Most High God, those talents can come to be envied. Those talents can come to be um, hated. Those talents can come to be this sort of source of contention between you and others because, let's face it, as human beings, many of us are extremely self interested. And by self interested, I mean the ego is a big part of our existence. Ego is important because you want to have good self esteem, you want to feel good about yourself, you want to be able to assert yourself. You don't want other people to run over you or take advantage of you or try to make you feel less than, try to put you down so that they can feel better. You don't want to do that. But nonetheless, that's something that can happen is that you're going to get people that they're like, why did that person get that and I don't get that? And that's really really an issue because those are the people that rather than being happy for you, they're more unhappy for themselves because they feel like I don't think Woody deserves that. What's so special about Woody? What makes him so blessed that God would want to do that for him but not do that for me? And so the problem there is that at some point we have to recognize that we all have limitations, we all have capabilities, we all have stories, we all have things that occur to us. Like I could sit here very well myself and say, well, you know what? Why can't I be talented like Prince, right? He passed away a few years ago. Why can't I be talented like him? Why can't I be, this figure that becomes the object of women's desire, this figure that is a tremendous entertainer, this figure that is larger than life. I mean, when, it probably talks about Prince's height are probably greatly exaggerated. Yes, he was somewhat short, but overall he wasn't like a midget or anything, right? He was, about average height for a male. But nonetheless, he had personality, he had class, he had a certain mystique about him. And I could sit there and I could hate on that, right? But why? Why should I do that? That is Prince. That is his life. Prince Rogers Nelson. He was born with those gifts. He's a great basketball player. He's a great musician. He's a great singer, performer, great dancer. He had a lot of things that were unique to him. And so that's what we have to come to recognize in this world is that sometimes people are going to have things that are unique to them. So the fact that you want to envy that, the fact that you want to hate on that, that's a problem with you and not a problem with the other person. Because you have to heal whatever issues you're having personally. And maybe one of the reasons why you're hating on it so much is because you've gone through things in your life. You've gone through things in your life that make you wish your life could be different in some way. You could say, well, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. I've always felt like I've lacked this and lacked that. And therefore, when I see this in this other person, I say, God, why did you do it this way? Remember that God is a sovereign authority. God doesn't answer to anyone. We can sit here and we can get upset all day long, and people normally do. People say, well, if God exists, God would have created a perfect world, a perfect universe. No one would ever have to suffer. No one would ever have to lack. No one would ever have to anything. But that's based on human assumptions from a limited three-dimensional mindset, right? Because at the end of the day, as I've told people, we are eternal spirits. We are immortal as spirits. We are energy from the source. We are something that comes into being when we're born, and we may be born again and again. You know, Reincarnation is a thing. But the bottom line is, regardless of how many times you've been born and reborn, or whatever the case may be, whatever God's plan might be for you, you have to keep in mind that we are like characters in a play. And so, would you want to watch a play where everybody's life is perfect? Would you want to watch a play where no one struggles, nobody has any issues, everybody's la-di-da, everybody's constantly happy? That would be a story that would get very boring very quickly, wouldn't it? Right? Because at that point you're saying, well, where's the tension? Where is there maybe adversity between this character and this character? Where is the life journey of this particular character where they start off one way, but then maybe they turn things around? Maybe they overcome a flaw. Maybe they overcome a weakness. Maybe they develop. Maybe they grow better. And so that's the thing, is that we're always looking from the limited standpoint of, I want to have that nice, easy life. Why can't I just have that? Why doesn't God just give that to everyone? But again, that's not really a compelling story. And so if you think about it, we're here on this planet to learn. We're here to experience. We're here to grow. And so we don't all just come to just basically be born an heir to someone who has $60 billion, and therefore we never have to want. I mean, at some point, even the economics wouldn't let that really fly, right? Because why wouldn't it let that fly? Because at some point in our economic system, and I know people always complain about this argument, but for the rich to be rich, the poor have to be poor. Let me say that again. For the rich to be rich, the poor have to be poor. If everyone is rich, then no one is rich. Because then everyone is just the same. Everyone is at the same wealth level. And so at some point, if people are going to put values on things, if they're going to say, well, this house here is a top of the line house, it sells for $8 million. But we have this house here is a modest house, it sells for $400,000. There has to be a difference between the two that's going to change the value as between the two, right? We can look at the house that's worth $400,000 and the house that's worth $8 million, and we can see how the $8 million house has more things that make it appealing. And so to just simply put them on the same level wouldn't make any sense. We would have no point of reference, because we would literally say everything is worth just about the same thing. So what would actually give anything any meaning? What would make something special? If everyone had a diamond, then the diamond's not special anymore. Now the diamond is pretty much worth a cubic zirconia, or maybe a moissanite, right? These are things that are easily found, easily replicated, and so as a result, they're not special anymore. To be special, you have to find the thing that is rare, that people want, but only a limited supply of it exists, right? That's why the supply demand curve is the way it is. For you to have something that's in high demand, because scarcity is a thing, right? In other words, there are things that are not unlimited. You could potentially exhaust all of the drinkable water on the planet because while our planet is covered in water all over, that doesn't make all that water drinkable, right? I don't think I would want to drink salty water from the ocean, and I don't think you would either. So unless you find a way to purify that water, strain it of certain things, particularly salt, that water's of no use to you. So therefore, we come to find out that the water that we drink and use for that kind of purpose is a particular type of water that does not occur every day. It's not commonplace. It happens, but people actually will fight over water. I'm pretty sure if I were a executive at the Nestle Corporation, that would definitely be a priority because Nestle and Poland Spring and Zephyr Hills and all these companies, they make their money based on whether or not they can control a certain supply of drinkable water. And it's not unlimited based on the capacity of the world population versus the availability of drinkable water. That's an issue. And because that's an issue, it's going to be worth something. And so everything that is scarce is going to have a very high price because if it's needed and it's scarce, not that many people can have it. So therefore, we're going to put a higher premium on that. So let me get to my point. My point is this. People need to stop obsessing over the idea that God gave person A one thing and person B another thing, but person B is envious of person A because they don't understand why person A had to have what they have. I mean, that's life, right? When you come to this world, you don't come here for everyone to have the same experience. We all come to have different experiences. Our lives are unique. Our lives are diverse. Our lives are independent. And the sooner we recognize that, the sooner that we understand that each of us has a story that has to play out. And each of us needs to be aggressively moving towards our life's purpose so that we can make the most of our time when we're here. We don't get to be here forever. Last I checked, there are no immortal humans. I said they were immortal or eternal spirits, but I never said they were immortal humans. And so because of that, at some point, your life will come to an end. And I think scientists even at one point may have discovered that it's by purposeful biological design that we procreate so that we can create children, and those children create more children, and those children create more children. And so what ends up happening is that over time, people need to adapt. The circumstances that may have been happening 50 years ago, or 100 years ago, or 500 years ago are different from the present day circumstances. And so too with the people, they may need to develop certain types of mutations, certain types of changes. And for that to happen, that's why you need children. That's why you need offspring. Because offspring adapt. Offspring have the capability to become what we need in a new day and age. And eventually, the people who have been living a long time, they become obsolete. They're not used to the things that are going on in the current day and age, not used to the advances in technology. They're not used to the fact that pretty much people that are around them have passed away. So their friends, their immediate family are eventually going to be gone, right? Imagine you're a person, you end up living 1,000 years, and everyone who was alive when you were alive is long gone. You know, yes, you may continue to develop relationships with your future descendants, but it's not going to be the same, right? You're going to be getting to know people that, in essence, came long after you, and your connection is really going to be strongest with those you have the past memories with, those who have already passed on. And so, inevitably, at some point, you may want to pass on because you say, you know what, this is no longer my world. This world is for the youth. This world is for the next generation. And so that's going to be important. So now I've kind of gone on in a way that kind of gets us away from the original point. But let's get back to the original point now. As a child in these dreams, having had certain gifts that were given to me at birth, I came to realize that those dreams were about people trying to stop me. In other words, yes, envious people exist not only in the dream world, but in real life as well. And so the dream world was a metaphorical representation of this. That when I had hordes of people coming after me, yeah, that's kind of how it works in real life too, is that inevitably you may be hated. You may be scorned. You may reach a point where a group of people may take a certain opinion of you and you are not held highly in public opinion. People who are exceedingly arrogant tend to fall into that category. People who are uncaring and insensitive tend to fall in that category. But the way that people come to identify a person that way may not always be what we think it is, right? We think we can spot an arrogant person from a mile away, and that we always know what an arrogant person is. But what is arrogant, right? Because someone can look at you and you tell them, yes, I've always had top marks, and I do extremely well, and I compete in sports, and I win all my competitions, and you're just explaining that you happen to be a naturally blessed person. But the person who's hearing that, who doesn't have those things going for them, may say, okay, stop rubbing it in my face. You're being arrogant. You're being conceited. All you want to do is talk about how wonderful you are, how great you are. The envy is starting to seep in there. And so they're not going to want to hear your story because at some point, yes, maybe you're in an award ceremony, it's a public setting. Maybe people might applaud for you. Maybe they might not. Because I know in my award ceremony when I was in the 8th grade, I came away with so many awards that parents got angry and upset. They said that one kid should not get all those awards. And so, did I do that on purpose? No, I absolutely did not. I didn't want to hog up all the awards. I just performed at an academic level that I kept winning award after award. And so, when that happens, maybe for the first few awards, people are like, "Oh, that's wonderful! You're doing so well!" Blah blah blah. They're applauding you. But now, when it becomes to the point where you are getting more than 50% of the available awards, now people are going to give somebody else a chance, give somebody else a try. Let my son goes to this school. He works hard. Why doesn't he get an award for something? Anything, right? And so that's when things can backfire against a person because they may not have intended to try to be a show off. They may not have intended to come across as conceited or arrogant. They're just being who they are. But that then can be met with a lot of opposition because people can become envious. Notice I don't use the word jealous because, yes, in our vernacular, we probably do use jealous very often, but supposedly in the Webster's dictionary, jealous is actually really supposed to be a word for romantic situations as opposed to just any situation. So if you are angry at your neighbor because you're driving a 2020 vehicle and your neighbor is driving a 2025 vehicle, then there's going to be envy between your neighbor and you. Some people would say, "Oh yeah, they're just jealous," but you can't really make love to a car, right? So that's not really the true meaning of jealous, as is represented in a Merriam-Webster or any other type of dictionary. But over time, as usage changes, so does the word. And so, if we keep on using the word jealous to mean envious, then there's some point in which we have to accept that that is a possible meaning of it, because that's what people are speaking. And so that's what I noticed with these dreams was that inevitably this was a reflection of the fact that my higher self was letting me know at some level that you're going to be hated. You're not going to have a lot of fans. You're going to have people that are going to think, who does he think he is? And so now, having been around for decades, having gone through life, decades later, I can finally figure out what those dreams are about. At the time, I didn't. At the time, I just kept saying, why am I always in these dreams where I'm being chased by people that look like they either want to beat the crap out of me, kill me, imprison me, or do something terrible to me? I didn't understand, but now I do. And so, let me tell you that the dreamscape is a fascinating place, and I don't even know that all of it can be captured in a single video because there's so many aspects to it so many layers to it. It's a very complicated topic. And I'll tell you this, because of the fact that it does sometimes involve traveling to other worlds, other spaces, other dimensions, people interact with each other as well in these dreamscapes. And some people become very good at it. Some people become trained at it. And so what you've got there is maybe a dream witch, or maybe if you want to use the technical term, oniromancer, right? Which in neuromancy refers to dream magic. And so that can become an issue too, because maybe some people are actively projecting themselves into your space, your dream space. And they're then taking out whatever they feel on you in the dream space. So much so that I've noticed that in the past 2 years, my dreams have increased where someone is always trying to force me to do what they want me to do. In other words, they're trying to assert dominance or control over me. And it comes up again and again and again. And it's very fascinating because when you really think about it, that means that this person sees themselves as superior to me, which that could be a form of narcissism, right? Because they see themselves superior to me, they like the fact that I have certain things going for me, but they also don't respect me enough to just say, well, it's great for you. And, wow, that's wonderful. And it's an honor to be an associate. It's an honor to be a friend. That's not what I'm getting from this particular set of circumstances. It seems more like the person's like, well, okay, yes, you may have all of that, but you're still a loser anyway, and I'm just going to bully you and tell you what you need to do. And that's actually kind of humorous in a way, because what you've got now is a person that basically is playing God. They're basically trying to be the divine over my life or any other person's life who, has their dreamscape routinely invaded over time. And that's very fascinating in of itself, because that's a twisted form of narcissism that actually goes into the occult. But it exists. And I'm here to tell you it's absolutely true that it can happen. And so that's my warning to you is when you dream, when you sleep, learn how to defend yourself better, because there are people who do this every day. And as crazy as it sounds, we are not necessarily safe when we go to sleep at night. There are people who do not mean us well. And to make it even better, it's not even necessarily that when you see them come into your dreams that they're going to automatically be aggressive. Quite the opposite. If they come into the dream automatically being aggressive, your defenses will be raised immediately. You will get very defensive in the dream. You will seek protection. You will try to find a way to fight back. So what's even more interesting is that these individuals are cunning and sly. And so they're going to try to come in with a way to lower your defenses. So they may come in and maybe the dream is going really well. Maybe you're having a dream where, people are bringing you things and you're feeling like you're the life of the party and things are all well and good. And then the backstab comes. And you have to be wary of that. You need to have a sort of intuitive instinct about you, even in the dreamscape, because you never know when someone might come in with a ruse, right? Kind of think of it as like the Trojan horse, right? Oh, here's this mighty gift where we present to your city. Take it with all of our love and appreciation. Okay. Once the Trojan horse gets inside the city, then the soldiers come out and they can take the city from inside. Be careful. People are very funny, and there are a lot of things out there in the world that are very possible. Just like even dream magic, there are voodoo dolls, there are people who cast freezer spells, putting your name, something of you into a freezer, trying to stop your life, right? Because it's funny how people spend so much time working on magic that hurts other people that they don't spend a whole lot of time working on magic that either benefits themselves directly without hurting other people. And that's weird, right? Because it's like the only way they feel they can win is to steal from others. And so that is definitely an unhealed person who has a lot of introspection they need to go through, and they need to become comfortable with themselves. They need to love themselves. They need to be happy with the gifts that God gave them. Each of us gets different gifts. We're not all, so blessed to the point that it's like completely unfair and completely whatever. There are things that have to happen for us to be able to manifest and express our gifts. And so that's what people should really be more focused on is how do I make my life better? How do I pursue my life path, my life journey, so that I can have the rewards that the universe has in store waiting for me, that I can truly become a better person. So that's it for my message here today. Woodman signing off. If you're new here, welcome to Safe Space. If you're returning, thank you so much. I love you. You keep the channel going. Please like, share, and subscribe. In the name of the Most High God, I wish you all the health, wealth, prosperity, and abundance, and that you are always protected if you deserve it. Woodman signing off. Have a great day.